On a beautiful island, there lived a wondrous world of fairies. All the fairies lived together in peace and happiness. But as darkness fell, fear crept into their hearts, for the night drags of the forest would awaken and attack their village to devour the fairies. One night, a magical fairy illuminated the entire village with her light. The night drags fled in terror of her brightness. Everyone crowned that fairy, Merabella, as their queen. Queen Merabella then declared that no fairy was ever to leave the island. Years passed, and a beautiful fairy was born, Mariposa. She loved to see the world beyond the island. She would gaze at the stars for hours, read books, and dream about the universe. Her friend Vila often warned her, "The world outside is dangerous, don't ever go there." But Mariposa would smile and reply, "No, Vila, the world outside is beautiful and full of magic." Because of her late-night reading habits, she often woke up late. One day, Ashafa called her and said, "Come home quickly, it's urgent." Mariposa asked Vila to come along. Mariposa and Vila worked for two rich fairies, Ashafa and Naira. When they reached their house, Naira and Ashafa scolded them for being late. "There's a royal party tonight," they said, "and we need many things." Vila looked at the long list and sighed, "It's impossible to get all this in time." Meanwhile, Ashafa threw away all the dresses, saying, "These are all useless." Mariposa quickly began searching for new outfits. Naira said, "Mariposa, make me so beautiful that the prince falls in love with me." Mariposa picked out a stunning dress, shoes, and jewelry for her and did her makeup. Soon, both Naira and Ashafa were ready for the royal party. They looked breathtakingly beautiful. When they left, Mariposa took her book and went outside. There, she met a boy. They were both reading the same book. They started talking and found their thoughts and ideas perfectly alike. That night, Mariposa couldn't stop thinking about him. The next morning, when she opened the door, the same boy stood before her. He quickly entered and said, "I am Prince Carlos, Queen Marabella's son. Someone is poisoning the queen with Ilios. If the queen dies, all the light of the island will fade away." He gave Mariposa a map. "If I get imprisoned," he said, "you must find the gate of Ilios. Only you understand the world beyond." Mariposa was worried. The next day, the news of the queen's illness spread across the island. Naira and Ashafa returned from the party, overjoyed. Mariposa asked them about the prince, but they said he never came to the party. Just then, Vila arrived and said, "Prince Carlos has been imprisoned in the palace." Hearing this, Naira almost fainted. Mariposa told them about the map the prince had given her, the one that led to a waterfall. Ashafa snatched it from her at once. She couldn't understand it, but Naira said, "We'll go ourselves. If we find the cure, the prince will be impressed and marry one of us." Mariposa had no choice but to go with them. Before leaving, she told Vila, "Free the prince." Then, the three of them set out from the island. As the sun began to set, darkness covered the forest. Suddenly, a night dragon appeared before them. They tried to pass quietly, but the dragon awoke and began to chase them. They ran for their lives and finally spent the night atop a tall tree. Meanwhile, in the palace, the queen's vizier Hina secretly kept giving the queen small doses of poison each day. She wanted the crown for herself. Vila saw this happen and freed Prince Carlos from his cell. She told him that Mariposa had gone to find the cure for Ilios, and that Hina was the true traitor. Mariposa continued her journey. Along the way, she saw a beautiful swan swimming in a lake. She asked the swan for help. The swan agreed, and they continued their journey together. It was a magical journey, beauty everywhere they looked. Then they arrived in the realm of mermaids. Mariposa asked one of them about the Devil's Cave, for only mermaids knew the way. The mermaids welcomed them kindly, but one said, "We'll only help you if you give us a precious gift." Mariposa offered them her beautiful eyeshadow palette. The mermaids were delighted and agreed to guide them. Meanwhile, in the palace, Prince Carlos and Vila were tracking Hina. Hina was preparing poison inside a cave. Behind her stood a night dragon. For Hina had promised them, "Help me get the crown, and you'll have all the fairies to eat." Mariposa and her friends reached the Devil's Cave. Inside, thousands of night dragons were sleeping. They hid behind a rock, terrified. Then Mariposa saw a glowing spot in the distance. They approached it. A cave full of stars glittered before them. A star fairy appeared and said, "You've come this far, but only one of you may go further, the one who is truly pure of heart." Naira and Ashafa said together, "Mariposa, you're better than both of us." Mariposa stepped forward alone. The star fairy said, "You have one chance, choose the right star, and you'll find the flower of Ilios." Mariposa prayed and chose a star. Light filled the cave, and from that glow bloomed the magical flower of Ilios. At the palace, Hina attacked with the night drags. Mariposa returned with the flower and made Queen Merabella smell it. But Hina appeared, snatched the flower, and shattered it to pieces. All hope seemed lost. Then suddenly, Queen Merabella awoke, radiating bright light. Her light spread across the island. She imprisoned Hina and thanked everyone for their bravery. In the end, Queen Merabella honored Mariposa, Vila, Ashafa, and Naira with the title of the bravest fairies of Flutterfield, and the end.